In the heart of Paris, Napoleon erected a monument for the glorification of his victories, the Arc de Triomphe. Large reliefs depict his victorious army. And today, Paris is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. First established by the Celts, next used strategically by the Romans, and then it served the Sun King. Historic moments are duly commemorated, and a great nation is not afraid to demonstrate its pride. Therefore, Paris is not just a city, but a feeling of joie de vivre. Bonjour, Paris. We shall begin in a modern part of the city, La Défense, and in the distance, the triumphal Grande Arche. Here, the Danish architect Johan Otto von Spreckelsen created a city scene of the post-modern epoch, constructed from steel, concrete, marble and glass. In 1989, a section of this architectural ensemble was completed for the bicentennial celebrations of the French Revolution, and it's still being developed to the present day. Les Champs-Élysées, the French metropolis's magnificent avenue, and surely one of the most beautiful in the world, with wide boulevards, shady corners, and a lot of traffic. Street cafes with an inviting ambience and classical Parisian buildings that are decorated with flowers and radiate supreme elegance. Since 1873, the Palais d'Élysée has been the residence of the French president. At the beginning of the 17th century, Madame de Pompadour lived here, and during the Revolution, the people cavorted in its luxurious rooms. A royal square that is known all over the world, the Place de la Concorde. On Revolution Square, the French king and over 1,000 of his subjects were executed. Later, a 27-meter-high obelisk was erected that was formerly located in front of the Temple of Ramesses in Thebes. It was a gift from the city governor of Egypt. On the periphery of the square, 8 large statues symbolize 8 large cities. Through a small triumphal arch, decorated with scenes of Napoleon's victorious army, we enter a garden created by Le Nôtre, the Jardin des Tuileries. A bridge and a fountain are the focal points of this popular park, created in typical French style. A modern glass pyramid and a fountain decorate the court of the former royal residence, which since the time of the Revolution has been transformed into a museum that contains a famous art gallery, the Louvre. millions of visitors from all over the world visit this extraordinary building to admire some of its 300,000 exhibits. Rubens' painting Kermes, Fontainebleau's Women at the Baths, and the painting of an old woman. Its collection of remarkable historic treasures and superb art gallery make the Louvre one of the world's most famous museums. Most notably, Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece, the Mona Lisa, has pride of place. Paris contains a large number of churches, due to the power of the church lords dating from the 13th century. In 1874, the City Hall was built in Neo-Renaissance style at the city's former harbour. Situated on a small island on the River Seine, between the riverbank of the workers and the city of the nobility, is the Cathedral of Notre Dame, the mother church of the nation. Built on the foundations of a Roman temple and commissioned by the bishops Maurice and Eudes de Sully, it took almost 200 years to build this Gothic masterpiece. With his novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo recreated the atmosphere of old Paris and made the building world famous. It's a symbol of a dark epoch. Pale and mystic twilight fills its gigantic interior. This is where the kings and queens of France were crowned, and where Napoleon crowned himself. Notre Dame has survived the tumult of the centuries. The Pantheon was originally planned not as a mausoleum but as a church. This was at the command of the dying King Louis XV, who believed the religious building would save him. But the revolution transformed it into a memorial for the great heroes of France. Between the age-old lanes of Saint-Germain and Montparnasse is the green oasis of the Jardin de Luxembourg, for many the most beautiful park in Paris. Italian-designed wells decorated with charming statues are reminders of the unhappy Queen Maria of Medici, to whom this garden was originally dedicated. Modelled on a Tuscan garden, the castle park was created during the 17th century. Now an integral part of Paris, the Parisians take delight in its many statues and flower beds. Paris is not merely a city, but a feeling of life itself. The city's oldest church is Saint-Germain-des-Prés. In 543 AD, this was the site of a monastery by Childebert. As a state within a state, one obeyed only the Pope. But 300 monks perished during the revolution, and all of its treasures were plundered. In 1670, Louis XIV founded a unique charity for soldiers who had been wounded during battle, the Hôtel des Invalides. This home for war invalids assisted those who had previously been forced to live as beggars. Within the adjoining domed cathedral of the Invalides, in a chapel of Baroque classicism, Napoleon Bonaparte is laid to rest. Napoleon was buried here in 1840. He wanted to be buried on the banks of the Seine. The Great Corsican lies within a marble sarcophagus in the centre of the crypt. This is one of 6 coffins that cover the monarch's mortal remains. During a strong snowstorm in December 1840, the entire city took part in the emperor's funeral. The Pont Alexandre is one of many bridges over the Seine. With its lanterns, golden lions and nymphs, it's a perfect symbol of this city of romance. This richly embellished bridge with its beautiful chandeliers is the widest in the whole of Paris. A 108-meter metal bow connects both riverbanks. The name of the bridge commemorates the Russian alliance and the World Exhibition of 1900. A major structure that was designed to be seen from any viewpoint, the Eiffel Tower. Several elevators carry passengers to the first platform of this massive steel giant, named after its creator, Gustave Eiffel. The eye is first drawn to the sturdy steel girders and weight-bearing transverse poles. Elevators lead to further levels. At the time it was built, the Eiffel Tower was a remarkable technical achievement. Only from here can one see the huge dimensions of this metropolis. From the fumes of this large city, the various tourist attractions in the historical metropolis emerge. Until the arrival of New York's Empire State Building, the Eiffel Tower, at a height of over 300 meters, was for many years the tallest building in the world. Against all the reservations of his contemporaries, the tower still stands, impervious to the threats of both wind and weather. Built at the end of the 19th century, as a symbol of national revival, Montmartre's Sacré-Cœur has the appearance of a white fairy tale palace. "237 steps lead up to the main entrance of this extraordinary structure. Its Byzantine architecture and 5 cupolas are reminiscent of the Marcus Dome in Venice. The interior of the cathedral is ornately decorated with reliefs, paintings and mosaics that are the epitome of religious opulence. The stone that gives the cathedral its brilliant white appearance came from Château Landon, south of Paris. Sacré-Cœur is a magnificent turn-of-the-century monument. And the square in front of the cathedral offers an excellent view. Les Halles were once the famous market halls of Paris. Today, they are modern shopping centres, the futuristic shopping basket of Paris. The area that contains these large market halls was financed in 1532 by the city's second largest church, Saint Eustache. The golden statue of Joan of Arc on horseback dominates the Place de Pyramide and is visited annually by many pilgrims on the 12th of May. This monumental pillar is a replica of the Trojan Pillar of Rome and is crowned by a statue of Napoleon instead of Roman emperors. It's the focal point of the Place Vendôme, surrounded by columns. At the command of Napoleon, a classical Greek temple was erected with a gable relief that depicts the Last Day of Judgment, in commemoration of the Grande Armée. In 1814, it became the Church of La Madeleine. Built by Charles Garnier and opened in 1875, the Paris Opera House is a superb historical monument of Napoleon's time. The Phantom of the Opera does not only haunt in a musical. The lake beneath the opera really did exist and delayed construction for several years. The central Place Saint-Augustin is dominated by a huge church of the same name, and which Baltar had completed in 1871, after 11 years of construction. This impressive sacred building demonstrates a strange combination of both Byzantine and Renaissance design. And for the first time in a church, tubular steel scaffolding was used. Versailles, the gorgeous palace and dream castle of the French Sun King Louis XIV, architecturally magnificent. Splendidly arranged fountains with charming figures decorate the palace's huge park that was created by 35,000 workers. For more than a century, the members of the French court languished in Versailles, where incredible pageantry and opulence dominated, and the king celebrated in majestic style. "100 hectares of ingenious garden design, with a strict symmetry of wide star-shaped garden paths that seem to be without end. Drawn by 4 horses, the god Apollo emerges from the waters of the fountain. Versailles was the unique creation of Louis XIV, the Palace of the Sun King. Evening gradually falls on Montmartre, the city's entertainment district. Up until the middle of the 19th century, the hill and its numerous windmills was located outside the city. Street cafes, open-air workshops and small boutiques that sell arts and crafts and second-hand goods now make up this district that helped make Toulouse-Lautrec and Renoir famous. Popular with tourists on the Place Blanche, the sails of the famous revue theatre, the Moulin Rouge, are a well-known symbol of evening entertainment. The nightlife of Paris is unique, illuminated by the smile of the Mona Lisa and the view from the Eiffel Tower. A city that bubbles with life, a place of creativity, elegance and sophistication, that for many centuries has been of inestimable influence. The charm of this metropolis on the Seine enchants everyone and fascinates with its colour, sweet melancholy and beauty. It's a city that never sleeps. Paris, a city of joie de vivre and adventure, of art and culture, of exquisite fashion and haute cuisine, a wonderful festival of the senses.